This is what a 24-hour bender on cocaine it was like for me. And story sticks out in my head amongst a lot of different ones. And this is how bad it is when you're an addict, you know that your addiction's bad when you start to really isolate yourself and you look forward to benders. You look forward to, especially when I was a working, functioning alcoholic addict. So when it came to drinking, it came to benders. I would do it on the night that I knew I didn't have to work the next day, or I could go on a 2-day bender because I didn't have to work for a little while. I literally based them around my work. But then the messed up part was I looked forward to this stuff. And that's the messed up thing of when you really look back of how bad is your addiction. And you go, man, I literally scheduled my life out around my drugs. Going on a bender is different for everybody. And for benders, for me, it was just complete obsession. So this is what it was like. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. What's up, guys? My name is Eric, and I'm a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. My drugs of choice were alcohol and cocaine, and I loved them. I got sober 7/25/17, and I share a lot of my stories just for the ones out there struggling, just for people to be able to relate who are going through it, to know that you're not alone. And what is it like going on a 24-hour bender? This is what it was like for me. This one here, I remember I ran an RV dealership in San Diego, California, called Revolution RV at the time. They ended up going out of business. I had left before that. But I had a couple lot porters and stuff that were drug dealers or were easy hookups and plugs. And that day I ended up doing probably 2 or 3 grams, not a lot at work. And again, for me, 2 or 3 grams wasn't a lot. And I kind of milked that throughout the day, and I knew I was off the next day. And I'm like, man, I'm going on a bender. I'm letting loose tonight. Screw this. So I hit up one of the lot porters. He brought me over 8 Ball, paid him for that, and I got excited about that. And that's when you don't realize how bad of an addict you are, is when you are excited about just getting high. And I lived in Chula Vista with a friend. And so I remember picking up this 8 Ball, going to the bar, because I was going to go to the bar, meet up with a friend, have a couple drinks, and I'm in the parking lot, and I had a CD case, and I was like, I got to do a couple lines before I go in, because I'm going to drink some. And literally you lay it out, and I remember it was kind of chunky, and so you get those little rock pieces, and I'm pressing, credit card on the CD case, and if you didn't crush it just down directly, it would like spit out the little rocks. And I remember a couple big chunks even falling into the floor mat. And this is how messed up of an addict I was, is that was my way of like budgeting cocaine, is any of the big drops I knew I left on the carpet were like, okay, I can always come back for those later on. That way, once I'm done with all of this, I still have some. That's how insane I was. That's how insane I was about this drug. And so I went into the bar, had a couple drinks, ended up like, did not even wanting to be out. Like, this is how bad like addiction is you really truly isolate when you are heavy in addiction. Had a couple drinks. All I wanted to do was get home and get high. And so I ended up packing it, call it an early night, and I drove home. And got to my place. I was roommating with somebody at the time, and she had ended up going to bed. And I remember as soon as she went to bed, I was drinking some. I was like, dude, it is on. And I had a favorite plate that I would hot plate on, because a lot of times when you get, chunky Coke like that, you have to hot plate it so it breaks down quicker. And man, for the next 6-7 hours, I'm just doing a line on my computer, watching porn, trying to masturbate, sweating balls, trying to get off, but you can't get off. And it's like, it's this weird feeling. You get so horny on Coke. And even at points, I would be so horny that still I didn't want to share my Coke with anyone. I didn't want to be around anybody. So you're trying to masturbate, and you're just doing line after line after line. And it got to the point that I just remember in my underwear, I'm sweating, and I keep running downstairs to like heat up this plate, lay out a couple lines, crush it up, and do this. And then I'm running back upstairs to my room and then watching more porn. And that was literally me on a bender. It was focused on just getting high and trying to get off, and getting to the point too of when you run out. And the worst part is when you're on a bender and you run out at like 4 a.m, which I did this time. And all of a sudden I'm out, and what do I think about? Man, those rocks that I dropped in my floor mats. Oh man, I got to get out there. I am out at 4 a.m. in my underwear, all the doors open to the car so that the lights are on, with a plate, picking shit off of my floor mat. That is insanity of addiction. Taking that stuff back inside, and there are little stones in there, there is hair in there, there's everything in there, and you're just crushing it back up and snorting it because you're so obsessed with keeping this high going. And that is the epitome and just the definition of addiction, is when you can't control it. It really controls you, and all you want is more, more, more. It's like Lay's potato chips that you just can't eat one because you're just going after this stuff. And I just remember carpet surfing to the point that I went out to the car like 2 or 3 times, just trying and hoping. And anytime I'd find like a little like white piece that looked like it might be Coke, I remember just being so happy inside. And I'm like, never stop to look back. Like if I saw somebody doing this at 4 a.m, I'd be like, dude, Brand, you got some problems, bro. Like, you need help. But at the time, it made total sense to me. And that is how insane we are as addicts, is we are doing some of the most insane things at the insane times, thinking that it's normal and not caring in our own little world because all we're doing is fighting for that high. And I mean, that was so many different nights for me that I fought just to keep high. And that's all I wanted to do, and not realizing how bad my addiction was. And again, you don't realize when you do truly become an addict, I don't think. I mean, I think you kind of do, but you don't. Next thing you know, it's like you're like, how did I get here? What has gotten me to this point? But when you look back at all the stuff that you did, all the situations you put yourself in, all the things that you did just to get high or just to protect your addiction, you realize how addicted you are. I mean, hit the like and follow button, comment down below. I share my story, not because I'm a doctor, I'm a counselor, or anything like that. I share just because I know that it's nice to relate to people, especially when you're trying to get sober, to remember these stories of insanity that we go through, of like, man, that was my life. That's what I actually used to do. And how obsessed we used to be about the drugs, because that's what our life revolves around. And benders, I mean, I know people that have went on benders for weeks at a time. I know people that have been on benders for just a couple days, 24 hours, whatever it might be. And again, as addicts, all it is about getting high, and getting high as hard and fast as we possibly can. And so for the one out there struggling and trying to go at it, it does get better, and sobriety is definitely worth it, but it ain't easy.